But yesterday was a little bit of it was interesting the way that everything went down with the Arizona Cardinals. And I think about it like this. Yesterday, there were a lot of Cardinals fans frustrated. And before I get there, I'll just say this. Josh Sweat, the Arizona Cardinals, minorly overpaid for his services. It's NFL free agency, though. The thing that I had mentioned yesterday was you are paying for what they have already done. You're not paying for what they are going to do. I saw Aaron Banks yesterday get $26 million a year from the Packers, and that was a guard that I liked for the Cardinals to go after. But free agency is largely what? Fool's gold. Last year, Christian Wilkins got an absurd amount of money, barely played any games for the Raiders. That's just what happens. Free agency is largely a cesspool of nonsense and mostly a lot of dreams wasted and are never actually realized. So the Arizona Cardinals, being smart with their money and identifying the best pass rusher in free agency, and yeah, slightly overpaying for him a little bit. But he's 27 years old. His best year was with Jonathan Gannon. And we saw a couple of people report yesterday that people believe that Jonathan Gannon is the right person for the job to get him back to what is his elite level of pass rushing. In 2022, he had 11 sacks. Over his last couple of seasons, 6 sacks, 7.5 sacks, 11 sacks, 6.5 sacks, 8 sacks. Yeah, they overpay a little bit? Maybe. What do I care? I would have done it again. This team has no depth on the defensive line. They have no ability to go get someone on the defensive line that is actually better than whatever it is they had now. Or they didn't have the ability. Sweat is a great addition to this team and exactly what the Arizona Cardinals needed. He doesn't necessarily raise the ceiling of this pass rush. He doesn't exactly allow them to get he doesn't make them feel like they have a Myles Garrett or a Micah Parsons or an elite level guy that can take your pass rush to new heights and completely shift over coverage, or I guess I should say protection on him. But what he does is he raises the floor of this defensive line. Too many times last year, I felt like the cornerbacks or the defensive backs as a whole got way too much flack for letting guys get open. And most of the time, that is because guarding guys for 4 or 5 seconds. I actually like the defensive back group for this Arizona Cardinals team, but it doesn't matter if you have the Legion of Boom back there. If you don't have anyone rushing the passer, it doesn't matter. Richard Sherman can't cover guys for forever. Cam Chancellor can't cover guys for forever. Earl Thomas. Byron Maxwell. But what those teams had were stout defensive lines. You got to speed up that mental clock of the quarterback. So finally having a competent pass rusher on this defensive line is massive, especially for Jonathan Gannon, who has had great years with Josh Sweat. He's not an old player. He only got $40 million guaranteed, which means if the contract doesn't work out in 1, maybe 2 years, they can largely get off his money. Oftentimes people look at the contract as a whole. Let's just call it 4 years, $120 million. And people are like, oh man, that is a ridiculous contract. How could they do that? Well, the $120 is just what agents put out to make their clients look better. It's always about the guaranteed money. Always. So if it's 4 years, $60 million guaranteed, really all you're worried about is that $60 million guaranteed. You're not worried about the other $60 million unless the player plays up to that contract. So to those yesterday that felt like the Cardinals maybe overspent a little bit on Josh Sweat, I'm just not there. And I'm more than excited with the fact that they did this. Because you needed to raise the floor of this pass rush. It was abysmal. Imagine if today we're talking about them not getting anyone. And I don't think they're done yet. That's the other key point to this as well. Josh Sweat was a really good start. Good player. Has continuously played well under Jonathan Gannon in the past. Josh Sweat was exactly what this Cardinals team needed. Elevate the floor of this pass rush. And yeah, maybe they overpaid a little bit for him. It's free agency. Everyone is getting overpaid. But it wasn't a massive overpay. It was maybe a couple $1 million too rich. For a pass rush that has no talent, you pay that every day that ends in Y and twice on Sunday. So yeah, Josh Sweat was the absolute right guy to get for this team. Especially for a team that has no other guys on the line. And I'm ecstatic that they made the move and spent the money. But, and this is a really big caveat, a really big but, you're not done yet. This was a good start, but it's time to continuously be aggressive. There is still Micah Parsons out there who I don't think is a crazy person to get traded. That was my bold prediction yesterday, was that Micah Parsons would be a Cardinal. Now, bold predictions don't mean I think it's going to happen. Bold predictions are, if I had to give you one big bold prediction for free agency period, it would be that one. He's not even a free agent. You'd have to trade for him. But that was my bold prediction for free agency period. For the free agency period. But there's still Trey Hendrickson out there. Josh Sweat was a really good start. But it's time to continuously be aggressive. Do you see what the Commanders did? Deebo Samuel and Laramie Tunsil and whoever they can get their grubby little hands on. They're making moves, man. The Cardinals need to be following the Commanders' line of thinking. The NFC West has never been more open. The Seahawks are a shell of themselves. After giving up their franchise quarterback, I'm not going to exactly believe Sam Dizzy Darnold is going to figure it out with a different head coach and a different system. But whether it's Sam Darnold, Devontae Adams doesn't scare me on the Rams. I think the Rams' defense as a whole scares me more than Devontae Adams. The Niners lost everyone. The NFC West has never been more open. You need to be aggressive if you're the Cardinals. Yesterday was a good start. I thought they were a little too conservative, but I don't know what they're working behind the scenes. Yesterday showed they're willing to fork over their money, even if it seems or is perceived as a little bit of an overpay. A little bit. Which is fine. I don't care. I think it's totally fine to overpay, especially a little bit in free agency where everyone is getting overpaid. Aaron Banks, the new guard for the Packers from the 49ers, got $26 million a year. Like, that's an overpay. So, I'm not frustrated or worried about that. I like the ability to be aggressive. Again, it was a good start. But there's Trey Hendrickson out there. Micah Parsons could potentially get moved if the Cowboys don't want to pay him. There are other moves to be made, and the Cardinals need to continuously be aggressive. This isn't we got Josh Sweat, sit back and let things happen. Take a page out of the Commanders' book and continuously load up on talent. You still have the cap space to make it happen. Cooper Kupp is potentially a guy who I really like for this team. His ability to mentor this wide receiving core and be a security blanket for Kyler Murray. I think that's what you're looking at if you're the Cardinals. Be aggressive. Trade for someone. Don't spend all your dollars in free agency. Go make that extra money put to work in the trading market. Other than that, I thought it was a good start from the Cardinals yesterday.